Chairperson Dineo? Vice Chair Ramirez?
Present.
Commissioner Bode? Commissioner Leyva? Commissioner Bugley, excuse me. Commissioner McBride?
Present.
Commissioner McCormick?
Present.
A quorum is present.
And before we go on to even looking at the agenda, I would like to congratulate Terry McBride as being reappointed for another term as a commissioner. So, yay.
Watch out.
I count on you to keep us honest and moving. Okay. So I'm going to say the public is invited at this time to comment on and discuss any topic that is relevant to or within the authority of the Carson City Cultural Commission. In order for members of the public to participate in the Cultural Commission's consideration of an agenda item, the Cultural Commission strongly encourages members of the public to comment on an item during the item itself, subject to a 3-minute time limit. No action may be taken on a matter raised under public comment unless the item has been specifically included on the agenda as an item which action may be taken. So, next item of business, anybody need anything they want to say? Okay, Ms. Sharon Ross, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Sharon Ross, Capital City Arts Initiative. So have several items to tell you about our exhibition. Saludos Amigos, which is over in the courthouse, is going to come down Thursday morning. So if you want to go over and take a look quickly, you can. It's still up. It still looks as great as it did the day we installed it. And last time I talked to you about it, I sadly neglected a thank you to Lupi and WNC students who were a big part of the installation help. I don't know if I told you, for the installation, we had 24 volunteers with 107 hours. It was pretty good. Lupi, thank you. The next exhibition in the courthouse opens its Impact by Paula Chung from Zephyr Cove up at the lake. It's pretty amazing work. I hope you can come see the show and join us for the opening on February 7th. The reception for this show, Faces and Places, due to snow, there was snow previously, we're going to have it on February 28th. The show's going to be one more day, and we'll have it on Friday, February 28th from 5:30 to 6:30. And so even though you've seen the show, if you want to hear the artists or meet them, please join us. And Photo Finish 2020 is a student show, Carson High advanced photography students over at the Brick. And we had the reception last Wednesday, and we had a great crowd, and 3 of the pieces sold, and the 3 girls were a bit over the moon because they got paid immediately, and they were very excited. Painter Zoe Bray, who did that piece there, just finished a residency for us out at Silver Stage Middle School out in Silver Springs. And we have 2 other young artists out there working with all they've worked with 5th, 6th, and 7th. They've got the 8th grades to go. And we're also working with high schools. And that's it. Do you have any questions? Thank you very much.
Sharon, I just want to say thank you for giving these students the opportunity. They love it. They appreciate that. So thank you.
Okay, and for information and help, because we have, I think, a new gal taking minutes, please identify who you are as you begin to speak, whether you're a board member or not. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so possible adoption of the agenda as presented. Were they some back in the back? Did anybody have anything they want to add to or change? Then it's
No change to the agenda.
no change.
Yeah.
Okay. It says possible action. Approval of the minutes is next for November 25th. Any comments, changes, corrections?
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
This is Commissioner McBride.
And this is Commissioner Abad seconding the motion.
Any other comments, Could we have a roll call, please?
I've actually never done this before, but I got Commissioner McBride for the motion, and then I have a second for Commissioner Aboud, I believe it was. All right. And then do I just do the all in favor? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that's,
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
thank you.
Okay, then it passes. Thank you very much. Okay, for possible action, discussion and possible action to elect a chair and a vice chair for the Carson City Cultural Commission's 2020 calendar year.
Thank you. Mark Salinas for the record. We have a lot of agenda items, a lot of detail I want to share with everyone tonight, but I do want to make a quick note here for thanking everyone for their service last year, for your thorough review of agendas and your participation. I think more so in the past year and a half, I'd say that our connectivity to the community, public presence, public speaking, and educating our colleagues on the topics of what we do is most important. And of course, that's a burden shared among everyone, specifically for the chair and vice chair. A little bit more, because in addition to that, they collect input and notes from the other commissioners to write and deliver in person our annual report to the Board of Supervisors, which is due no later than May 1st of every year. That's a presentation that I joined them in. So I would open up the discussion to those who might be interested in serving in either role. You have a staff report there, which we can either vote for chair and vice chair together or separately. It's really up to the commission as how you want to open the discussion.
So this is Commissioner Ramirez. I vote for Chairman Dineo to remain as chairperson.
We nominate.
I nominate you. Yep.
This is Commissioner Aboud, and I would second that nomination.
All those in favor? Aye. Does chair get to vote? No? No, I'll abstain. Okay, now this is really interesting, and it's fun, and it's great getting out and meeting the community and you know, being responsive to folks in the community and what they want to know about. So thank you for the encouragement and the honor, and I appreciate it. Moving on to item number 6, possible action discussion.
We're still
Then
on,
I would
we're
like
still
to,
on
I would
5.
like to nominate a vice chair.
Oh, we got to do that, don't we?
I would like to nominate Lupe Ramirez to remain as vice chair for another year. I know that she has taken on another board. So if she's willing, we would love to have you be vice chair one more year.
I will accept the nomination, yes.
Then I will second that nomination. Again, this is Commissioner Aboud.
All those in favor? Aye. Congratulations, I love working with you.
Thank you.
She's great, she's great fun. Okay, now item number 6 is possible action regarding the Celebrate Culture Grant application submitted by the Nevada State Art Museum in Carson City in the amount of $1,500 for the 3rd annual Lay Day on May 2, 2020. Welcome.
Let me introduce Rachel Delovio from the Nevada State Museum. There is one typo on number 6. I wrote Nevada State Art Museum. Art shouldn't be on there.
Right.
Every sentence
Yeah.
I write nowadays has the word art in it, so forgive me for that. Apologies,
Yeah,
Rachel.
just-
I had some A/B technical difficulties. I think I have your presentation here, and what I can do is you just point to me and I can scroll through it.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. And that's this one, this whole packet.
Okay. Hello. Good evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Rachel Delovio. I'm the curator for the Lay Day event. This is our 3rd Lay Day. It'll be held on Saturday, May 2nd at the Nevada State Museum in Carson City. For those of you that aren't familiar, there's a term in Hawaii. It's May Day is Lay Day in Hawaii. And so what it is, it's an event that celebrates the tradition of making and wearing a lei. It was established in the 1920s, and today it's celebrated throughout the Hawaiian Islands with parades, concerts, a lot of different festivities. So today, the Lay Day, I suggested this event as a way for Hawaiians that live here in Northern Nevada to have a place to celebrate Lay Day, as well as a way for Northern Nevada to celebrate this tradition for those that don't get to go to the Hawaiian Islands. It's just a very beautiful, tradition. So some of our participants over the last 2 years, this is Ka Pahula o Kavaiola Noelani o Kane. Their kumuhula is from Maui and very traditional halau. And here you can see their keiki, their children, and the wahine, the women dancing. This was last year. And then we have a smaller halau that also participates, Matasina Polynesian Review. A smaller group, their kumu or their teacher is from Oahu, and she worked for the Polynesian Cultural Center, if any of y'all have ever been there. So last year, we're going to year 3. So year 2, we brought in some Hawaiian music from a band, and they're named Pono. Both the guys are from Hawaii and sang contemporary Hawaiian music, some of that in Hawaiian. They did a really great job. And then one of the more popular things that go on Lay Day is the cultural practitioners that demonstrate lei or kupe'e, which is a wristlet. So making those. On the right, you see the more traditional common lei that people think of, like an orchid lei. That's my family. So using dendrobium orchids. And on the left, they're making tea leaf coupe. So again, for the wrist. And it's very hands-on activity. People were making their own, and then they would get to take it with them. So the first year we just had the lei, the traditional orchid lei, and last year the cultural practitioners, we brought in some more, and they're the ones that did the coupe. So we also offer referred to as a keiki corner, so an area for hands-on activities for children. As you can see, they're making paper lei. We also have Hawaiian petroglyph stencils that they draw and fill in, and you might change up those hands-on activities this year, but they're really popular. And we also have a temporary exhibit we put up every year that discusses the history of Lay Day, as well as traditional objects used for lei pre-contact with Europeans, as well as what people are using for lei making today. So our budget for Lay Day is, we were requesting $1,500. This is all going to our people participating. So $600 for the 2 halau or the hula school, $300 each. If you're not familiar, when it comes to at least the halau, it's up to all the haumana or the students to pay for what they're going to be dancing in. And when Kumu last year told me, this $300 will give us money for them to buy new outfits. We're asking $400 for the band Pono, which $200 for each musician. And then $250 for the cultural practitioners from Na'oiwi o Hawaii. They're a nonprofit Hawaiian civic group of Northern Nevada for their wristlet coupe making, and $250 for the lei, the cultural practitioner doing the leis as well. The $250 goes to their supplies and everything in their time. I know for Na'oiwi, when they did the tea leaf, one of the members of the group was in Maui and collected all the tea and shipped it to Reno. And as my family, they order the flowers from Honolulu and have it shipped over. So it covers those costs. And just some previous partners we've had, Carson City Department of Arts and Culture, Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority. The last 2 years, they've been making our flyers and posters for the event. The Nevada Arts Council funded the $1,500 last year for the practitioners, but they restructured their grant program. So now the museum is considered too big of a institution to apply for the same grant that we did last year. So we're looking for new sources for funding. And then we have the Friends of the Nevada State Museum, our docents that help out all day, greet our visitors. And again, Na'oiwi o Hawaii, the Northern Nevada Civic Club that did the Kupe'e demonstration. So just our achievements were, so we've had 600 participants over the last 2 years. And many of those participants are of Hawaiian ancestry or those that identify themselves with the island. So I had one individual tell me when she saw it was advertised as Lay Day, she said, "Oh, I know you were going to do it right." You know, so we were offering a traditional event, something you would see on the Hawaiian Islands. As for goals, we just want to duplicate the same amount that we've had and offer free admission for the public. And then we'll evaluate our success. We do count the number of visitors that come in through the day and as well as provide a short survey to the participants or the visitors. I think there's one left. Maybe, or is that it? That's the last one? Okay. Well, that's it. Are there any questions?
I have a couple, Rachel. This is Commissioner McBride. You said 600 attendees. That's about 300 each year.
Mm-hmm.
And then would you consider a participant or a contributor being the State Museum itself, because you said that they offer free admission that day?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
The museum does offer free admission.
Okay. So that's a contribution. All right. Thank you.
It's Commissioner Dineo with a question. It says, when you do your surveys at the end, would you be willing to come back and share that with us so that we get some input from you as to how, you know, your team has evaluated the program? It'd be really nice.
Yes, I would be happy to. We haven't done a survey before, so this will be our first time.
It'll be fun.
And that information is, this is Mark, that information is also asked in the final report that all applicants submit to me in the end for final approval of funding. Up here on the screen, we have item, it's actually 6 and 7. This gives the commission the grand total that we started out with for this fiscal year, the 2 approved events, and then, of course, the 2 events that are up submitted for tonight. And you can see the amount available as today is $3,940, which easily covers both proposals. I also submitted today as late material a thank you note from the museum for that funding of the Dia de los Muertos, in addition to the International Film Festival, and that was left both at the door, submitted for the record, and left on your desk as well.
Ellie, did I see you had a question or comment?
I just wanted to comment that I think, even though I did not attend this event, it looks like a really important one for educating the non-Hawaiian community about the traditions.
I want to go make lace.
Thank you. Please come to share.
I also want to thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity. I feel like we're in Hawaii. Even if we're not, we just feel like we're in Hawaii. So thank you.
So, Mark, do you want to take these individually for motions, or shall we hear?
These will be
the second?
individual.
Individual.
Yes, item 7 will be our next guest here tonight. So as you know, the Cultural, Celebrate Culture Grant, we don't grade it as we do for the redevelopment one. This is a discussion among the group because it's a smaller amount of money. So it's up to the board to discuss what their recommendations are, given the information that you have up there, the finances.
Mark, I have one question. On this survey that you'll be supplying, where folks are coming from, is that on the survey as well? I didn't see that in the guidelines, and it would certainly help you.
Later tonight, I actually proposed some edits to both grants to get them formatted So let's revisit that in maybe 15 minutes and make
Okay.
sure that that's on there.
All right.
One thing I do want to do going forward is to reach out to the organizations that we're funding under each grant and get their attendance numbers, because I think those are going to be important to further discussions.
I think so too. So since we now have heard everything, does anybody have any other questions? And if not, what is your pleasure in terms of an action item? Do I have a motion to approve?
This is Commissioner McBride. I move to approve the grant application for the Lay Day celebration at the Nevada State Museum in the amount of, the requested amount for $1,500.
I second that. Commissioner Ramirez.
On the motion, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No, it carries. Thank you so much. It's a
you.
wonderful, wonderful program you're bringing.
Thank
Carson.
you.
Thank you.
And I'll come back and share, and if there are any questions you would like to have me include in the survey, please feel free to.
Could we come and make lays and learn how?
Please, please.
We'll be there.
We should have flyers and posters out soon.
Oh, good. Nice. Thank you so much. Okay, congratulations. I love Hawaiian music, yeah. Okay. And now, possible action item, discussion regarding the Celebrate Culture grant application submitted by Carson City Symphony on behalf of the Rimsky-Korsakov, I'm so thrilled, Quartet in the amount of $1,200 for the Rimsky-Korsakov Quartet performances on March 27th and 28th. And I think before we start, do we have?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. The
Okay.
Nevada statute 281A.420 requires me to disclose a conflict of interest and abstain from voting when I have a disqualifying conflict. I'm the president of the Carson City Symphony Association, and I assist in selecting and authorizing events and applying for grants with the symphony. And because of my continuing involvement with the symphony, I feel that the judgment of a reasonable person in this situation may be materially affected. As such, I will not be voting on this matter.
So I'd like to introduce our next guest for the Celebrate Culture grant application. This is the Russians Return, the Rimsky-Korsakov String Quartet. The Carson City Symphony applied, acting as a fiscal sponsor for these individuals. As you recall, the quartet took part in some of our city activities last year, and here they are applying for this application. So I'll let them introduce themselves and their presentation, and we have a quick video that we can show when they're ready.
Good evening. I'm Mary Clements, and I'm the U.S. Manager for the Rimsky-Korsakov String Quartet, and I live in the Bay Area. And I'm happy to be here to answer any questions and to have a few positive comments from the quartet that they sent today.
Wonderful. Welcome.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
Just, oh, there it's on.
Green.
Nope.
gotta
Green is go. Okay, I'm Patricia. I go by Patty Cooper Smith. I'm a resident of Carson City, and we are happy to be back again and partnering with the Carson City Symphony as a nonprofit conduit to bring this group back to Carson City. It's a little different structure this year, as you've seen from the grants. But one of the most important things we think is, besides the concerts available to the public, is the master class, which was extremely well received last year. So do you want to show the?
You were asking about surveys in the last petition request, and last year there were about, I think, 75 to 80 people that were gathered. Some who just came to observe, and then the students who participated. And at the end, the survey was given for them to respond, and it was overwhelming. It was excellent, and particularly the quartet enjoyed the comments. They're pretty good in reading their English, and one of them's quite good, so they translated it all. But they were very, and that was one of the things they requested when coming back, is that they could continue the master class.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And extraordinary performances last year.
Oh, I'm glad you
It
were
was
able
just
to attend.
Wonderful.
Good. Questions? We do have a short PowerPoint.
Yeah, could we see that, please?
Yes.
Loved them.
There it is.
Oops. Was that it?
It was supposed to fade out.
Oh, okay.
It's a work in progress.
Well, it was lovely, and my church is St. Peter's, so we were really thrilled to have you at St. That was beautiful.
The acoustics in there
That
are
building is
amazing.
just marvelous, yeah. But every concert that we attended was just wonderful, just wonderful.
Thank you.
If
Well,
I
there's-
could, I'm sorry, if I could just add something, this is Mark Salinas for the record. Yeah, I apologize for those blips, that's not part of their performance, as you well know. After having approved allocations for the Nevada State Museum, there's $2,440 remaining, which covers the request for $1,200. And just to clarify for the record, although the Carson City Symphony is the applicant, according to the grant rules that this body approved, they are eligible for redevelopment. The only stipulation is that an organization can apply for the same event for redevelopment and cultural, celebrate culture. I.e., the example would be if the Carson City Symphony applied for the redevelopment grant to show the quartet again, that would be ineligible. They are eligible for any other type of program coming before us. Thanks.
I have a question. How much are you planning to charge for tickets? For the concert?
For the brewery concert, I met with them today, and we're planning to charge $25 for general admission, $20 for the senior and student, and then $18 for the
brewery members.
Brewery members, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And also to help defray some of the time and labor involved in marketing and publicity, the contract's going to be a 50-50 ticket split. So, which is another reason why we need a little extra help, because not knowing really how many people, we hope for a full house. It's at the Brewery Arts Performance Hall. But, if there are more members, then there are full general admission, and then we split the ticket price 50-50, it lowers the net to the quartet. So that's why we feel that it's would be helpful. And then the master class is separate. And the house concert, the proposed ticketing right now is $40 a person, but there's only 35 spaces available. So hope that answered your question.
Now, where would the monies be sent if you had folks who wanted to donate? Are you a separate organization? Would we be going through the symphony? How would you do that?
Be going through the symphony?
Okay.
What we're doing with, we are reaching out to a donor base that we developed last year for donations. My goal last year and this year is that whatever happens, I want the quartet to be paid their appropriate fees, but I also want any extra money to go to the Carson City Symphony because they've worked so hard for so long in this community, and they have magical ways of making things happen, but I've wanted to make it easy for them and to not be a deficit.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Well, what's your pleasure?
Excuse me, could I just
sure.
read a short email I received from the quartet today?
Sure.
Because they knew we were coming tonight. Okay, and this is written, it was a joint effort, but it was written by Alexi. We did very much the audience in Carson City, which was attentive and thankful. We appreciated the interest to chamber music into our quartet personally in Carson City, and would love to continue to bring European and Russian chamber music to Carson City. Thank you. Many greetings to all our friends in Carson City.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. That's very nice.
Commissioner Bugley, you gave me a USB. Was there anything on there you wanted me to show?
No.
In addition to the video? Okay.
Anyone wish to make a motion at this point? Okay.
I move to approve the grant application and the amount applied for the Rimsky-Korsakov Quartet in the amount of $1,200 for the Rimsky-Korsakov Quartet performance events on March 27th, 28th of 2020.
I second. Commissioner McCormick?
All those in favor? Aye. And we know that Ellie has abstained. But congratulations. We're so thrilled. I'm so thrilled.
Oh, and we're so thrilled that you're
were
inviting us back,
wonderful.
and the quartet really loves
Quite wonderful.
Carson City area.
I was happy to see the chuckles of the picture of them in Virginia City. We got up early the last morning and took them up there at their request, and had to kind of talk them into those outfits, but once they got into them, they really liked it.
It was really hard to explain to them in English about that it's just the front part costume and at the end, because they were so tired. And they really did not want to change clothes. They said, but it doesn't work that way. And so finally, one of them said, Mary, we trust you. Okay, let's just get this over. And when they took it back home to Russia and they shared it with their family, the family loved it. It was a big hit. So persistence works.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I have one more question. How did they reach out to you and see if they could fit into a performance schedule here in Carson City, or did you reach out to them after having such a successful visit with them last year? Who initiated that second contact?
I think it was a joint initiation because the quartet performed so well, on the audience response. And that's what the musicians count on. In fact, when they got back from their, where are we, March? Their fall tour, they were here and they wrote back and said, "We are so spoiled by the audiences in California, Nevada, and Washington, the appreciation." And everyone here was. It was, standing ovations and just the friendliness afterwards. And so, they said, "I hope we can come back." And so, and Carson City's been very open.
Well, it's a wonderful opportunity for Carson City and certainly elevates culture and the arts with a magnificent group. Thank you so much for all the work you do, and Ellie.
Thank you.
The symphony.
Ellie,
it's-
we couldn't do it without Carson
No.
City and without Patty and
The symphony.
and everyone. Cindy is a hostess to two of the core team members, and Joan Wright is hostess to the other two. So it's really a.
I'm a hostess to her.
Well, we look forward to seeing you
Thank
again
you.
in
Thank
March.
you for your support.
Thank you.
So much. Okay, lovely. That was lovely. Item number 8. Okay, Mark, you're going to be involved quite a bit, I think, in this. Possible action to edit the fiscal year 2021 Redevelopment Authority Citizens Committee RAC Special Events Grants Guidelines to reflect updated procedures. And
Thank you. As recall, in 2018, I proposed scoring rubrics for the redevelopment grant that had been active for several years. The application, of course, is already online through development, through Lee Plemmel's office, but we had, we put into motion a scoring rubrics that but received positive feedback from applicants as well as the commission, something transparent, something that everyone could weigh in on, something that we did live here, as well as forming a final report so we could start collecting this data. Item number 8 and number 9 are closely related because these two grants were written at two separate times, and this is an effort to make sure that guidelines, application, and final report is all in one document, and that each of them follow the same format, so it's a little bit more user-friendly. Some of the tips that I had included in the redevelopment, and as I had mentioned, everything that's in red is an update, and it can be simple stuff as just updating the Visitors Bureau's name, matching language to the better of the two grants in explanation. The biggest change here really for the redevelopment is that the Culture and Tourism Authority has changed their marketing assistance a bit. And so now they have a tier system, which applicants can go directly to them. And if they qualify for 1, 2, or 3, it affects how many copies, how many sizes of those copies, how many postcards, and that sort of stuff, because they too want to keep track of their numbers. So that's the biggest update, and it's we're very grateful to be partnering with them because they see the relevance and the value in promoting these. Well, as you can see, these events. The application itself is unchanged except for one tiny edit, just to sort of keep it evergreen. In the finances, there's typically 2017, 2018, 2019. I always get phone calls from applicants with questions. I just changed it to this year, last year, next year. For the final report, just the name of the event, date of the event, location. Again, making this final report having more likeness to the Celebrate Culture, which was written a little later in my tenure here, and a little bit more well-informed. There's one question that I changed in the final report, which is number 4. What was the most impactful contribution of your event to Carson City? Where do you need to improve or modify your event to reach a higher success? The original standing question was similar. I just think this was a little bit better worded. And then finally.
Mark, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Add an R to
Yes,
the
please, if you see
first
anything
U. Yeah,
what number
your
are we on?
event, not you event.
Oh, thank you. Will do. Okay, and then finally, submitting a quote. It might be something that we could use on social media, a quote from one of our grant applicants as to the value of
And
arts
Mark,
culture.
on this is where I feel you need to add also maybe a number 9, and that is where the attendees are coming from. Because that's data that you can use.
Maybe zip codes in the form of zip codes?
Yes.
Okay. Or can we look at question 6, where it says fill in the percentages of your total attendance, and maybe give us top 2 or top 3? What's that?
Top 2 or top 3 zip codes,
Zip codes,
which is fine. It's just not, I think it's important.
yeah.
Since you also have to report to the Tourism Authority, that we know where folks are traveling from to come and attend events.
Okay. Shall I word that?
And you
Top
don't, you
top 3 zip
don't,
codes?
you don't want the top 3.
You want all of
Because that's going to be Carson City, Minden, and Dayton, or Reno.
Okay.
You want the ones that are small, if you're getting a few people from Florida and South America, those are the ones you want to know about.
All right.
I think that holds true for any one of these.
Can someone offer the language that I should record this as?
Well, maybe you take it from number 5, give the total number of people in attendance of your project and the zip codes they are attending from.
Okay. Give the total number of people in attendance of your project and include zip codes. Their zip codes. Zip codes of attendance, okay.
Or comma, including zip codes. Their home zip codes. I guess we need just to be absolutely clear.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is we put the local ones, and they can just check them, and then we have other, and they can fill in. So it's not a zip code, it's the name of a town.
Okay.
And it's less writing for most of them, is
Right.
just checking a box.
So, yeah.
It's frequently difficult to get that information from people coming and going from an event unless they're sitting at a table with, should you add a phrase like to the best of your ability, give us their zip codes? But is there, because some events, it's hard to gather.
Well, Sharon, the problem is Mark has to report, and unless we stipulate that it happens, it will never happen.
Well, no, I
So-
understand that. I'm just trying to the actual gathering of it. I just thought maybe there would be a little bit of a wiggle, that's all.
I mean, I think we are, we, meaning the Culture and Tourism Authority and I are all in the initial stages of trying to best collect this material and digest it. I mean, James and Lydia were at the Dia de los Muertos walking around, getting 100 people, but it was still processing that information. I think a seated event, such as in the Bodrick Theater, is much easier because you can put a piece of paper and pencil on a seat or something like that. Something like Levitt is going to be tough because you have people walking in, walking out. Similarly, this event grant is also for exhibitions too. So unless the room is monitored, who's there to see people, walk in and out? So those are just some thoughts I wanted to
You
share.
get a sample, and then you make an assumption that that sample is relative to the whole, represents the whole group. That's the only way to do it. Even with seated events, not everybody will fill it out.
It's true.
I recall on this subject, this is Commissioner McBride, I recall a survey card that was filled out by attendees at the powwow for Father's Day out at Stewart. And one of the questions was, did you rent a room to stay in for this event? And they didn't ask how far they came or anything. That was just, did you get a room or you just here for the day, basically? And then they use that data.
We ask if they shopped in Carson City, bought a meal in conjunction with attending the event, or stayed overnight at a hotel or.
I don't think we have a problem, I don't think, and speaking for all the grant applicants, I don't think there's a problem there in collecting how many people. We have a really good, strong head count. And I think that with the CTA's help and us leaning into this final report a little bit more, that we'll be able to, I think we should keep this final report as evergreen. Saying what data is helpful, what isn't, and what's going to be easy to collect with an accurate outcome for these applicants. This is also an opportunity for the commissioners themselves to help collect that information at the events.
Well, I agree with Ellie's approach for did they buy a meal? Did they shop? Did they stay? Because that's what the CTA is interested in.
Right, and item number 10 is going to talk about that a little bit too.
Speaking of item number 10.
Oh, one moment, please. I also have an edit, page 1. Awards to organizations will be up to the amounts, strike the S, amount of $5,000. Are there any other edits or suggestions to the redevelopment grant?
Yeah, under email blasts on the third page,
Yes?
it's MailChimp,
Not Chump.
not Chimp Mail.
Okay, sorry.
That is MailChimp.
Okay, so are we still on item 8?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have comments? Any comments? Mark, do you want this as an action item?
Yes, you have a staff report there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, number 8.
All right, so this is Commissioner Ramirez. I move to approve the fiscal year 2021 REC Special Events Grants Guidelines edits as presented.
Second?
How about, and discuss, since we did want a change, an addition?
In addition to the edits.
In addition to that,
As
discuss-
mentioned, which I wrote down.
Changes as mentioned.
Yeah,
You want to give that another shot? You want me to do it?
you go ahead and do it.
Okay. So I move, this is Commissioner McBride, I move to approve the fiscal year 2021 RAC Special Events Grants Guidelines edits as discussed.
I would second that.
On the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
There are no oppositions. Thank you. Number 9.
Okay, so this is the Celebrate Culture Grant. Let me fix chimp mail to MailChimp. And this.
Chimp.
And there was a printing error. The grant application is on its own separate sheet. The final report is on its own separate sheet. It shares the same language, same tips.
Mark, are they going to gather the same data for us?
Well, let's look together at the final report. We can compare the final report of both.
Well, not totally.
These are two different funding scenarios, so I want to be conscious of that.
So you made the decision being the executive that you are, to not try to gather demographic data or attendance numbers on these?
We can certainly add a couple of questions from the redevelopment final report to the Celebrate Culture final report.
Mark, I think that's important.
So let's do number 5 and number 6.
Yeah.
5 as edited plus 6, which is the fill in the percentage of age for your audience. And you know what, I find that really, that helps applicants have a cleaner focus on their event and who they should market to. That's why that's there. Plus the zip codes and the total number of attendants.
I agree.
Yes, we are in need of data right now.
Yeah. Yes. So we move on to item number 10.
We need to,
Oh, yeah. Oh, we already did that. Oh, you didn't, you made changes and additions. Okay.
if there's a motion to accept the edits as presented, including the edits as discussed.
Is there a motion? Can we get that again?
This is Commissioner Bugley. I move that we approve the amended guidelines for Celebrate Culture, a grant with the changes discussed.
Commissioner Abel, I second that.
Thank you. And then up on the screen, just for that one item, this is our redevelopment schedule. So after this body has approved those changes to both grants, I'll edit those this week, send out this calendar to the public and to all of our redevelopment applicants. It just says that the deadline is going to be April 15th to receive applications for events happening fiscal 2021. On May 11th, that's the scheduled date where they'll be making their proposals in person to this body. And of course, that needs to get the approval of the redevelopment authority, and we're on the calendar for that in June.
And we will be also considering the Celebrate Culture grants.
Thank you for reminding me about that, because I think when I had originally authored that grant, I suggested to have all the applications at once in the beginning of the year. I found out that on a rolling basis isn't as painful as I thought.
Okay.
And so I apologize, it was written in there that the Celebrate Culture would be a rolling grant, that we would receive applicants like we just did this evening. That's my recommendation, and I found it to be.
I like it. Yeah. All right, we still have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion obviously carries. Good. Good work, Mark.
Thanks.
Yay. Item number 10, which is very interesting, Americans for the Arts, and a presentation by Mark. This is nice.
Good evening, this is Mark Salinas for the record. I have a disclosure statement. NRS 281A.420 requires me to make a disclosure when acting upon any matter in which I have a significant pecuniary interest. My current employment as director of the Carson City Departments of Arts and Culture is funded by the 1% transient lodging tax, currently set to sunset on June 1, 2021. As such, any change in the ordinance authorizing the tax may directly affect my employment. I do not have a vote on the ordinance, but I make this disclosure regarding my interest in the ordinance for full transparency. So, item number 10.
So noted.
Last meeting, Commissioner McBride recommended looking into bringing a professional to further a deeper discussion on the economic impact of the arts for Carson City, vis-a-vis the transient occupancy tax and its sunset in 2021. As you know, we're already working on legislative year 2021 exhibitions and such, and I'll be speaking later on in my director report about a fantastic gateway monument that will be built in that year, and so we're looking forward And walking with us in tandem forward is the CTA, and David Peterson has been a real pleasure to work with on this. I know that, we only meet every other month. I'm meeting and speaking with him on a weekly basis, and I think the general public will be very pleased with the progress and the thoughts that we've had to make this work and make this better. So, item number 10 is I'm proposing to bring Randy Cohen. He's the Vice President of Research and Policy for Americans for the Arts. It's the national advocacy group for the National Endowment of the Arts, which was created by Congress in '65. I have seen him speak personally at some of the Americans for the Arts, or AFTA, it's called, presentations that I go to for work. I want to, just for the record, read a couple of the highlighted areas here of Randy's CV. Randy Cohen is Vice President of Research and Policy at Americans for the Arts, the nation's advocacy organization for the arts. A member of the staff since 1991, Randy stands out as a noted expert in the field of arts funding, research, policy, and using the arts to address community development issues. He recently published Americans Speak Out About the Arts, a national study about the public's opinion and participation in the arts. He publishes the National Arts Index, an annual measure of the health and vitality of the arts, as well as two premier economic studies of the arts industry, Arts and Economic Prosperity, the National Impact Study of Nonprofit Arts Organizations and Their Audience, and Creative Industries, an annual mapping study of the nation's 675,000 arts establishments and their employees. I'm going to skip forward a bit. In the late 1990s, Randy collaborated with the President's Committee on the Arts and the Humanities to create Coming Up Taller, the White House report on arts programming for youth at risk, the U.S. Department of Justice to produce Youth Arts Project, the first national study to statistically document the impact of arts program on at-risk youth. He has given speeches in 49 of the 50 states and regularly participates in news media, including Wall Street Journal, New York Times, C-SPAN, CNN, CNBC, and NPR. Randy advertises himself as the Energizer Buddy when it comes to the arts, and the proposal is to have Randy arrive in Carson City Monday, March 16th. In the evening, the CTA has been kind enough to offer to host an evening meeting, probably I'm thinking the city manager's office, the mayor, maybe the chair of the Cultural Commission, the chair of the CTA. The next day, beginning in the morning, I have the Sierra Room booked for the entire day, and the thought was to have an open meeting for hotel properties and hotel staff owners to come. Randy can have our AV resources here to give his wonderful presentation. I do have a small video I'll show you in a minute. After that, we'd like to go to the Rotary. That's when they meet for their lunch.
I'll set that up.
Reached out to them. They would be interested in having him. I think it's also an opportunity to reach out to media outlets, news, the paper, the radio. And then finally, on that 17th, that's when we would have our next Cultural Commission meeting here in this room. So Randy would be here in this room giving several speeches. This allows, I've been working with Piran on this would allow this board and CTA board members to attend several options of the same content without any type of issues of quorum. That way you're able to fully participate in the meeting, ask Randy questions. Wednesday, the 18th, we have this room booked for the meeting, and that's an opportunity where I would like to have Randy present to any Board of Supervisors, any department heads, any city staff. And then I think we can also catch the chamber leadership group. I think they convene on that day. And then Randy would part that afternoon. So it's a very fast-paced, energetic presentation with lots and lots of detail. The cost for this, through AFTA is $2,500 plus expenses. So what are these expenses? The main expense would be flight. Per diem, we would look at the GSA.gov, the government website for per diem meals and incidentals. The CTA is kind enough to comp the hotel stay. And then there would probably be some postage. I'm asking Randy to send us a lot of collateral that we can pass out, distribute to the public for their consumption, as well as mail to any and all hotel properties. So everyone's receiving the same information, or at least has the opportunity to receive that information directly from Randy, who calls this for decades across the nation.
Well, I think this, that's great. And our target audience should be the people who are collecting the tax. And to further educate them on the importance of the arts in this community and why it matters that this community has a strong arts presence, because that brings people in. But also, I'm excited for us to learn from him while he's here so that we can continue on the message, carry it on after he leaves, so that we can be helpful reminders of why the arts are important in the community.
Exactly.
So thank you, Mark, for looking into that.
Here's a short video on AFTA's website. This is the Arts and Economic Prosperity, just a 1 minute, 20-second video.
The arts, they bring us inspiration and joy, and they make our communities beautiful places to live and to work. But there's more. Nonprofit arts and cultural organizations are also businesses. Nationally, the arts generate $166.3 billion in economic activity. Dinner and a show go hand in hand. When we go to an arts event, we often begin the experience with a meal. We pay for parking, go out for dessert or drinks after the show, and return home and pay the babysitter. The average attendee spends $31.47 per person, and that doesn't even include the cost of admission. Out-of-towners and tourists spend even more. All that spending is good for local businesses and good for the economy. Nationally, the arts support 4.6 million jobs. The arts, creating better places to live, supporting jobs, generating government revenue, and the cornerstone of tourism. The arts mean business. Learn more on the new Arts and Economic Prosperity Study at americansforthearts.org/economic impact.
So that was actually Randy Cohen's voice there. So as you can see, AFTA is all about creating jobs, generating commerce, driving tourism, learn, use, share. There's a lot of the data that when I need data, this is the website I go to. These are the people I go to, and some of the statistics that I share in some of my public presentations are taken from this legit organization. And I think this is really, from all the conversation we've collected over the 3 years, I think this hits what we need. So the agenda item is for this body to approve that funding to be taken from the 1% Arts Revolving Fund. Yes.
Yes. Any other questions, any other comments?
We have to vote to approve that.
Well, yeah, but we're not there yet for making the
And
motion.
certainly, going into this, we're going to get Randy's itinerary up there. We're going to book all these presentations and get that out as much as we can. Not only to Carson, but I think maybe 60-mile radius, 70-mile radius. I think people would be interested.
And I think there are various vehicles out there to get the publicity out, but all the help that we can get ahead of time, getting this publicized and people kind of, excited about this and wanting to come and learn. It's a learning experience. And so anyone who has contacts out there that we could be using, let us know. Also, will he be bringing, PowerPoints or a stick so that he's got all
Sure.
of his stuff? Yeah.
All the bells and all the whistles. I want to
Whistles. Yeah,
thank
we
the
need his
CTA as well as the
traveling
DA's office.
show.
I want to thank the CTA and the DA's office on helping organize this as well.
Okay.
Well, since this is going to be education, I definitely think it's ideal to promote it through the schools, through this, through the high school, the college, all those art classes. I mean, those students might be interested in,
And the
think
business students.
yes.
And I would wonder about Reno and the fact that he's going to be here. I mean, it's an opportunity for all of those arts organizations and, the museum folks and the people who have their own art businesses. This is a wonderful opportunity for them. So if we could just sort of get that all moving, I think it's well worth it. It's a pretty short time.
Good opportunity for gallerists,
Yeah.
any type of freelance artist that has their own business. I agree.
Yeah. How do you get it out to them?
Well, I have a great commission with a lot of commissioners who will help me do that.
We'll all help. All right. So I think what we need here now is a motion. Is the pleasure of anyone to give us a motion for approval on this item?
This is Commissioner Abad. I move to approve the amount of $2,500 plus expenses to hire Randy Cohen to visit Carson City and present economic data on the arts in mid-March.
I second that emotion. This is McBride.
Did you say emotion? She seconds that emotion.
Channeling the.
We needed that. Okay, on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously, and it's a wonderful opportunity to look forward to. So get the word out, everybody in the room.
Yes,
Thank
the
you.
arts organizations out there, this could be a great opportunity for your boards, too.
Yeah. All right, on our agenda item number 11, front and center, we have our.
So here we're going to roll into our report. Just last week, congratulations to Jen Eisholm from Hawthorne. She won the overnight stay in Carson City, the Mizpah and the Carson Tahoe Hotel, as well as Mary Bennett Ghost Walk, Shoe Tree Brewery. They've all been kind enough to help in their donations in this 10-month cultural swap that we've been doing, Carson City's been doing with the town of Tonopah. That's part of a Nevada Arts Council grant that we were awarded. So there's one more prize, one more Mizpah overnight stay and a ghost walk in Tonopah, and I think we're going to be rolling that out in March or in April. Here we have, let me use my new pointer. Here we have a, it doesn't work on a TV screen though. Okay, so there's a couple there on the right. They came to visit from Tonopah. They won the prize last time. On the left is a family from, we didn't see this coming, from California, who won the prize and who visited Tonopah for the first time. Coinciding with that, downstairs, wow, what building am I in? At City Hall Gallery, we have a Tonopah photographer and her granddaughter, who's also a photographer. So that show is up through mid-March, and we're really excited to have, and they're really excited to have some artwork up in the Capitol too. Next at City Hall, the pangolin. Who knows what a pangolin is? It is believed to be the world's most trafficked mammal, other than humans, accounting for much as 20% of all illegal wildlife trade. This is an educational show of about 20 artists, literally from all over the world, that's produced by Truckee Meadows Community College. So it's the first time partnering with them, and it's going to be a whole bunch of artists from Pennsylvania, Australia, Texas, Mississippi, Italy, Colorado, all over the world, advocating for the ecology and wildlife and against illegal trade. Happy to be speaking with the clerk's office. on producing some new I voted stickers. We have 34,000 registered voters in Carson City. They were a bit bored and tired with the I voted stickers that they have. So we're in discussions now to create a high school competition, the 3 high schools in Carson City, to create new I voted stickers for the primary in June, and then again for the general election in November. And here's a statistic from AFTA: people who participate in the arts are 20% more likely to vote. And I think this is a great opportunity to get arts classes and graphic design classes, as well as civics classes, government classes in high schools, and to instill some civic duties in our youth. The panel just chose the first artist for Carson City. We're going to be rolling out the press release, I think, this week. So far, applicants have come in from Incline Village to Boulder City for this initiative. And we have the honor of sort of being the threshold here to present these in league with the First Lady. I'm really, really excited about this. This is a great opportunity for artists. There are a lot of governor arts programs, and I'm happy that the state can join that list. I've been working, I just submitted a grant for $15,000 to Travel Nevada for a gateway monument. This is working with Public Works and the South Carson project. There's going to be a roundabout at Stewart and South Carson. And we've had a couple of public meetings about this, but we really want to approach this as a gateway moment for a gateway monument. And then quickly, I want to just present 2 examples that have inspired me, that have inspired Public Works, and I've shared this with the CTA as well. This is an example of a city investing in its public sculpture outside of its city hall. This is the city of Grand Rapids, Michigan. The landscape there in the 60s, it was kind of dead, needed some revitalization. They applied for an NEA grant. Who else but Alexander Calder won this award from them? Now, in the 67, it was a $128,000 project, and it took, I believe I read, 2 years for it to be installed. But look at their emblem, look at their motto of City of Grand Rapids. They've incorporated this artwork into everything from their logos, their letterheads, even on the trash bins. Art Prize is a very well-known competition located in Grand Rapids, and they've actually taken that vector graphic of that sculpture, turned it 90 degrees, and made it their own. So it's an interesting opportunity for a piece of artwork to create other artworks, other motions. And here you have the sculpture has been covered in decals before for breast awareness. Here's some magnets that they sell in their visitors bureau. And there's just a lot of fun opportunities on how to market this thing using its shape. Now here we go, here we approach the same public sculpture, but from a visitors bureau standpoint. This is the convention center in Denver, and this was their approach. Now, this again is something that could be put in a vector scenario. I mean, imagine a sculpture, a gateway monument where our local industry can make items for sale in our visitors bureau. Imagine an opportunity for other artists to make t-shirts and posters for sale. And imagine an opportunity where we have something that not only internal sports organizations and events want to use that symbolism, but external as well. The top 3 are examples of that bear being in use, but even when you look at the 2020 Denver Boat Show, you can't look at that color without thinking of that bear, correct? So I think these are really exciting possibilities to produce a new moment, to really lean into our motto, confident of our future. And fingers crossed we'll learn of the grant application in March, maybe even coinciding when Randy's here. I'll present more upon that once we hear from them in our March meeting. Wanted to update the commission, I think this is my last slide, on 2020 here. There's a typo there. The update is 2020, not 2021. See, I'm really working ahead, I can tell you. So these are the remaining, these are the remaining events that this commission approved allocation of money towards. I wanted to give you an update on where this was. Capital Reads Program, the library just selected their novel yesterday. They want to release that publicly, but that was an opportunity, sort of like True Grit, how we can take themes from the novel and spin it into workshops and creative ideas where we can help promote the literary arts from an arts and culture perspective. In February, I allocated money towards a fashion or fine art film, and the commission allocated budgeted money towards Da Vinci's birthday. So let me tell you where we are on all this. As you know, a lot of stuff gets bottlenecked. A lot of great opportunities come to us rather than us searching for them or even planning for them. The First Lady Presents, the I Voted stickers are two great examples. What I'm thinking about doing, and I'm already in touch with the Broderick Theater, is perhaps combining the two, the film and the birthday, into maybe a free Da Vinci documentary, Da Vinci movie that we can play here at the theater and have that party as well. That's sort of where my mind is right now, to keep that promise, but also to make it something exciting. In June, the Commission budgeted $5,000 towards a healing art residency. There's no movement on that. I can tell you, though, that for the Gateway Monument, the price tag will be $80,000. And at present, the Commission last fiscal year put $10,000 aside for that, of which we have. I'm going to recommend another $15,000 for that. So perhaps that $5,000 rolls towards that. As you know, these projects, they don't evaporate. They're still for us to do in the future. So I just kind of wanted to give you an update on that.
Back to the Da Vinci. If you do something here at the theater, perhaps could there be something interactive in the lobby? So that,
right.
Just thinking that.
And I do want to reach out to the library as well to see if they can get in on this as far as what type of books and movies and films and stuff they have that they can, we can cross-pollinate that, but I love that as well. I was thinking, wow, what would 586 birthday candles look like? And immediately I thought, could controlled burn. So we'll see. Controlled burn, the performance group in Reno. Okay.
Mark, did you have a specific documentary in mind, or?
I didn't, so I'm open to
Just,
suggestions on
okay.
that, yeah.
All right.
And then lastly, the public art policy, there were, I believe, 6 more chapters of that I had to write. The last 3 were just documents. I'm very confident that I'm going to have this done in time for the annual report by May 1. And again, in all transparency, it's every day I'm at this desk, there's something that informs what that is going to be. We're miles beyond where we even hoped that we would be as far as that document. And the Gateway Monument is going to highly inform this too. So allow me to sort of navigate some of these grants and speak with Public Works. I think that'll add more education to that final document. That's all I have.
Nope. Well done. And you got to get away for a while.
Yeah.
So now we are at number 12, Commissioner reports and/or any comments you'd like to make, and Commissioner Ebald would like the floor.
First of all, I want to let everyone know that the Greenhouse Project was selected by KOLO as a pillar partner this year, so that's awesome. Yeah, it's a big deal. Secondly, we have 15 flower baskets left to sponsor. This is your town. This is not a fundraiser for the Greenhouse Project. It is simply a give back. And our town shines when it's blooming. $225 pays for raising those baskets and the watering, which costs money because it's labor.
But I thought you missed the deadline, so it went up.
No, it's not February 1. is the deadline. Then-
250?
Then 225.
225.
And if you buy two, it's 400, so you get a break. But go to carsоncitygreenhouse.org. There's a form to download. We'd like to get all the last 15 baskets sponsored, because if they're not sponsored, we can't hang them because we can't afford to pay for the watering. So that needs to happen. And Concert Under the Stars is scheduled for July 8th. And it will be at Eagle Valley Golf Course once again. And entertainment to be announced.
Thank you. Milo, any?
I just had a quick mention of the new museum out at the Stewart Indian School Cultural Center. Oh my gosh, if you have not been there and seen it yet, you need to go. It's world class. It's right on par with like a National Park Service Visitor Center interpretive displays. They, as the article the other day in the paper pointed out, it does highlight a dark chapter in our history. But it's important to know that those things happen so that we never let it happen again. The Native voice is all throughout that museum, including some audio recordings that I took for the oral history project that you can listen to excerpts of. They will have a research library set up that's coming very soon, but with archival material and old interviews transcribed interviews to read, full audios to listen to if you like to, photographs of the campus and the students and the teachers. It's open from 10 to 5, I believe, every day during the week except Monday. I might be wrong, though. It might be Monday through Friday, 10 to 5. But it's fabulous. It's beautiful. You must go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have they done anything about the theater? Is there any conversation that
They
marvelous
got
theater?
funding to do like a structural study. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's stunning. Boy, that's history. Yeah. Well done. Nothing from Milo or Ellie? I do. Good.
So next Tuesday, Mile High Jazz Band plays at Living the Good Life. It's a jazz sampler for Sweethearts. Big band with Jackie Ford singing. This isn't one of my events, but I don't see anybody here from the State Museum, and Tuesday's a big day for them. 150th anniversary of the coin press, and
Yeah.
am I wrong about that? Were you going to say something about that? Oh, no. Okay, so that's going to be a big event too. And then on February 23rd is the first concert that's being funded by our Challenge America grant. It's called Latin Expressions 1, because it's the first of 4, and it will include folkloric dancers. It'll include an oboe professor from Las Vegas who will be playing a piece by a Latin American composer and a whole lot of other stuff. So the poster is in press. It's not printed yet, so I couldn't bring any for you. So watch for it.
Please repeat the date and time, please.
February 23rd, it's a Sunday at 4 o'clock at the community center, and there'll be entertainment in the lobby and a preview interview at 3.
Thank you.
Nice.
I would also like to mention Commissioner Bugley went over it very quickly, but there was a very important news that she had in that Challenge America mention, that the Carson City Symphony is a recent recipient of an NEA grant. So congratulations to you and your organization. There was only 3 of those grants distributed in the entire state. And so the dedication to that application, the execution of that project, and the final reports, I mean, we put those things together ourselves. Imagine what that's like on the national level. So thank you for adding that much vitality to our capital.
Well, I want to thank 2 people in this room. One is Mark, because he encouraged us to apply for it, and the other is Lupe, who is helping us with the outreach to the Latino community.
Mark.
Well, I also want to thank you for your vision for the initiative, in starting, an event that I think is going to be very educational for the entire community. Just to see how music bring us all together is just, I think, amazing. So thank you for that opportunity. We look forward to a good turnout.
Yeah, yay. Yay, that's wonderful. Any future agenda items folks want scheduled? Mark, is there anything you think we should be adding?
No, just please note our next meeting is March 17th, 5:30 in this room.
And then May 11th, 5:30. Okay, now the last item, it says here, public comments. If you would like to say anything at the conclusion of this meeting, you are more than welcome at this point in time. Hearing nothing, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.